Hey everybody, I am back with a TV show spoiler review. This time for Daredevil, technically season 4, but slash reboot, soft reboot of Daredevil Born Again. Now, I have a lot to say, but before I do, please leave a like and a comment. Let me know what you guys think of Daredevil Born Again. And also, want to give a huge thanks for all you guys who brought me over to the 500 sub marker. Once again, this coming Friday, I will be doing an 8-hour lengthy stream playing nothing but Marvel Rivals, just in celebration of uh, uh, of this milestone. I might grab myself a beer or some wine bottles or something like that, just to, just in celebration. Just, from like I think I want to start at noon, if nothing kind of transpires. Uh, I think we're going for like noon to 8 p.m. Uh, it's not exactly 8 hours, but we'll see. But anyway, uh, that is overall goal. So look forward to that this coming Friday. But in any case, got my notes here. Rarely I actually have to jot down notes because I'm fairly confident about what crucial ones are points I want to make on a particular movie or a TV show that I like to cover. But this one is so like there was so much that I couldn't even like remember it all. I had to make sure like I jot down like at least the crucial points. So of course, this is the most anticipated Marvel property people was waiting on since it was announced. Since we got Charlie Cox back as Matt Murdock and Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. Now, a little bit of backstory in case you are not familiar, that initially this was supposed to be like a whole entirely different type of season. It's like a supposed continuation, but kudos to Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio. I guess what they was brought to them, the initial script didn't sit right with them. Forgot the exact reason, but it was not something they feel that this show was about when they started this, because it's technically a season 4. So I think after the writer's strike, I think they took the time to kind of like rework some stuff, like because Foggy and Karen Page supposed to have like a more time, or wasn't even a part of this initially. I'm sorry, they wasn't even a part of this initially, but they was brought in, not necessarily last minute, but sorta. You can just tell by certain writing and how certain people just left. Well, at least those two primarily just left, and they got pretty much replaced with people that honestly are just janky versions of them. Uh, uh, so, and this, premise, they got Born Again. They utilized the title of Born Again, even though season 3 was technically more of a Born Again than anything else. But they just utilized this name because it's the most famous title in a Daredevil story of all time. And it's not got, it doesn't have anything to do with what, because I covered Daredevil Born Again comic, was the first Daredevil comic I did on the channel. Definitely more Daredevil stuff to come, but you can check out my review and my thoughts on that there. And going from, like I said, it's just Born Again in name only. What content, the contents inside the story does not align what this show is about. what the show is about is tangentially uh, uh, with what the Daredevil run and Chip Zdarsky's run with Daredevil in the past few years. Which Chip Zdarsky in the past uh, 3-4 years at this point, Daredevil's comic, run has been just spectacular. Just for that length of time, that's darn near unheard of. Aside from maybe, the X-Men Dawn of X, Powers of X, House of X kind of thing. Aside from that, there's no other like comic book run I can think of that has the steady quality it's been given for that length of time without it being canceled, or you know the writer has to step away for a period to work on something else. No, it is steady, consistent, quality work. So impressive, unprecedented in my opinion. So, in a comic, uh, Kingpin has and did run from mayor and start issuing a I want to say like executive order, but it's kind of like made into kind of law for New York. There's an anti-vigilante law, which in the show pretty much is going along with, and a lot of people's complaint, and I can't but notice as well, is that if you, because like I said, this is not like a hard reboot. This is kind of like a soft reboot. So they still kind of keeping ties with what happened previously. But it's like, what happened to Kingpin after Daredevil season 3, where he got put back in federal prison after that federal agent he tried to like manipulate, and he tried to like utilize the FBI to his own misguided ends, and then the whole situation with Bullseye, we'll get to that in a second. He should have been locked up. No way he should have gotten out. And sure, there's been plenty of occasions, because let's be honest, this is, there's some moments in the first couple of episodes where they don't want to be heavy-handed, which I appreciate, but there's clearly Trump allegories to this, but they didn't want to be heavy-handed about that, so they kind of make it vague, ambiguous, just to not piss off anybody. But there's going to be people out there who might make that kind of connection personally, but this is not unheard of, where a villain runs for mayor or runs for president. I mean, like you see Lex Luthor in DC Comics had ran for president before. So it's not unheard of in comics, but it would help in the show to explain how this guy was able to run for mayor. Because things have to be super dire in order for them to kind of ignore the fact that this guy was put in prison for being a kingpin of crime, and then got further deep in federal prison for his what's the word, him being tied with the death of that federal agent and stuff, in order to get his butt back in prison. And then, of course, we've seen him in Hawkeye, and then I didn't watch the Echo show because everybody knows that was crap. But they try to loosely mention that in that. Still, I think a lot of people agree is one of the best scenes in this show, where they try to do the whole heat thing between Matt and Wilson Fisk, It's like you stay in your lane, I'll stay in my lane, blah blah blah. Uh, Neither one step out of bounds. Uh, and Kingpin's subtly brought up about Echo. I tried to mentor someone, didn't work out so well, and I seen the reviews and the clips of her using her. It's not even Echo. Echo originally had like kind of like Taskmaster, where she can mimic fighting styles, but that's not too spectacular for MCU. Uh, you know, Mindset, where now she just get this, not only channel her uh, ancestors' skills, but coincidentally, all of them just female. Not one of them is like a decent male figure in her past. They all gotta be strong boss women. It's like, do y'all see the cringe y'all putting out? It's like when y'all writing this, nobody taking a step back and say, okay, does this look kind of weird to put this kind of thing out? But anyway, so she used her skills to get inside his mind and confront, like force therapy to confront his little deeper issues. Like I said, they trying to do their darndest to keep away from the crap that was Echo, but it explains why he's been away for so long and his wife pretty much taking up the slack of the criminal empire, which she used to be like an art dealer. Now she's just full on board psycho like him. But anyway, the way the show begins, which is pretty hardcore, where Bullseye snipes and shoots and kills, which a lot of people was kind of expecting it to be kind of like a fake out by the end of it, but no. I guess he's kind of dead, unless the next season, does something differently. But Bullseye, right outside of Josie's bar, shoots Foggy in the chest, walks down and starts beginning to murder a bar full of like lawyers and other pedestrians, which it's always cool to see Bullseye, at work, and just using he doesn't even need legit guns. He can just use anything, and it's just freaking deadly. But Daredevil shows up because he kind of got sent off a little bit, thinking like, oh, somebody that Foggy's looking out for in a case needs help. Let me change into my costume, which it's cool to see him like flipping about on the rooftops. Some point out, they kind of make it a little bit dark so you can't see like the bad CGI. It can kind of look rubbery in most cases. But he's just full on Daredevil at this point. And he comes running back once he hears like Foggy got hurt. So he comes and starts, and of course they gotta have the the tracking shot scenes, like the hallway fight thing. They gotta incorporate that. So they, the only thing different is the fact that where usually we have to wait to the middle of the season to get something like that, they started off right away, where we're just, and granted, it's kind of crazy that Daredevil is not keeping Bullseye outside this place. He's bringing the fight inside, where still people trying to run for their lives, but Bullseye's flinging stuff, and he actually got a freaking Bullseye costume, legit one this time. But he's throwing stuff, whipping at things, killing a bunch of pedestrians or civilians, while he's just tanking hits from Daredevil. But once they get to the rooftop, he hears that Foggy's heart stopped beating and he's distraught. And he just pushes Bullseye off the roof like, fuck you. And then throws him off. And he didn't care if he died. He was kind of hoping at that moment because he's just not himself. Because normally he wouldn't. That's the one line he wouldn't cross. But the fact that Foggy's family by this point, he's part of the only family he has legit besides his nun mother that he just doesn't have any kind of communication with like that anymore. Even though he found her after all these years in the previous seasons, but he just pushes him off the ground, and like I love this no cuts. It's just like see this body just come plummeting off the 7 or 8 floors up, and there's like splat. Didn't die. He's still alive. Crazy, but so a year goes by. He stopped being Daredevil. Then he started working with this guy named Cherry and this other lawyer that was hitting on Foggy, and starts working for her firm together. And I gotta say, it's not the actor's fault, but it's just that if you remember, in like even with go way back to the first season, Foggy and Karen had like stuff that got nothing to do with Matt all the time. They got their own little thing going, like their own little arcs, their own little side quests, like with Karen and Ben Urich, and then Foggy and his little side piece, and things of that nature. And side note, I know the actor lost a little bit of weight. Kudos to him, but I appreciate Foggy Nelson because I grew up with Foggy Nelson with a gut. I'm sorry. He has kind of like he doesn't need to be obese, but he has a little pudge in his stomach. And I prefer Foggy Nelson with a little pudge. I'm sorry. That's what I grew up with. He's the lovable, capable lawyer with like a little bit of pudge. It's like, he doesn't need to be like fit like Matt is. Like, that's what, makes him fun. I'm sorry. It's kind of like, making Peter Griffin lose weight. It's like you kind of, kind of is a drag. It's like there's certain characters that need to have a gut. So yeah, so this new lawyer chick and this guy was retiring at that night, figured out that saw that Matt without his mask on after he attempted to kill Bullseye, is working as like a private investigator now, so that way to help the firm deal with criminals and all this other stuff. It is I don't know, it's just poor man and women's Foggy and Karen. Karen goes after the trial with Bullseye. He gets put away. She moves to California until like the final episode. So the new lawyer chick, I don't even remember her name, sorry, introduced Matt to a psychologist friend or therapist friend that she knows, who is an actual character from the Chip Zdarsky run that, the relationship didn't work out in the comics. Like always with Matt Murdock. But she is honestly, she was decent at the beginning, but slowly but surely as the season carried on, by the end of the season, she's kind of an ass. And it's like, why would you not want us to like this character? I understand what it was driving at, but there's ways of going about doing it. I'll get to that in a second. But Kingpin, like I said, starts running from mayor, and then because he was gone for so long and his wife felt lonely, so she starts banging some dude on the side, Adam, that she begged Kingpin after he figured it out. Why would you not expect him to find out, especially from a different source, that instead of directly from you, that you've been banging some dude on the side, and you don't think he was gonna feel some type of way. You know this guy took a guy set off with a car door and blew up Hell's Kitchen for his little agreement with the hand and everything like that. It's like, you don't think a guy like that wouldn't try to do something to this guy? You just promise don't kill him, and it's like, yeah, he wouldn't kill him. You don't think he will do anything else? This dude had no qualms about ruining people's lives outside of just killing them. You know what he does. You're just like, oh God. You know, there's some people that do dumb things here, and it's just kind of it's kind of crazy. And it's like, she started running his criminal empire. Don't know how that even transpired. How does she get to allow these other criminals to follow her? Why? Just because that is her husband? And use his credentials to as like a coattails to drum up business? Yeah, sure, you can be business savvy, but how did you get these people to follow you? But like I said, like also, how does they really took the bite out of Kingpin, because they got him going to therapy with this girl, and it's like, God, I'm getting sick of this whole. I think I don't watch the show, but The Last of Us, recently started, having like Joel going to this therapy thing, and it's like, you're in an apocalypse. Why you need a freaking therapist or anything? It's not like a crucial need thing where you're dealing with clickers and all this else. It's just like, we're over therapized as a society at this point. it drives me nuts. But then you got, Kingpin cuckolded, and then this woman clearly has zero respect for Kingpin, and literally in the therapist's office started going on about how, like, Adam, the way he touches her and all this other stuff, and it's like, even a therapist, a smart therapist would have like stopped, or like, excuse me, ma'am, that's avoid, needless details like that, because clearly that's not gonna sit well with your husband who's sitting right here. Okay. But then she leans into it. She if you saw the episode, the scene I'm talking about, where she's just going on like, his hands, it just, I never felt this way. She's smiling. She's grinning into the ear. She is reminiscing in the therapist's office next to her husband, who is trying to reconcile with her. And she's going on reminiscing about the way the guy touches her. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you purposely trying to piss this guy off? Even under normal circumstances, when a guy is not like a kingpin of crime, that doesn't sit well with any dude. This guy took guy's head off with a car door, and yet you go in here playing in his face like that. It's so stupid. Why would they write something like that? And why he needs to go to freaking therapy? This is the Kingpin. It's like, he snaps his fingers and he opens up get a restaurant to, clear a table from him just like that. He can have somebody murder in the Bronx at a whim just like that. It's like, you talking about like BD energy. He's the epitome of that. I don't even go to therapy. It's so stupid. Yeah, I got another thing. It was like the election thing. It's like, okay, we don't even know. I guess they're trying to avoid any kind of controversy as much as possible. I think this show in its entirety is trying to play it super safe and just like, tangentially touch on past, at least they hoping that by the past greatness of the previous Daredevil seasons, they can just like coast without trying to take it up a notch in any kind of way or do something unique. Because this is all seem like at best playing it safe. There's some good stuff in here. Like I said, that fight scene with Bullseye at the beginning, that was shot fantastically. The cinematography, all in all, is incredible. The acting, especially coming from Vincent, of course, Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox, but the acting from a lot of these actors is stellar. But the huge standout is John Bernthal's Punisher. He is phenomenal. Especially the couple times we see him in this season, comes up at least in 2 different episodes. All his scenes, incredible. He hasn't missed a beat. That is like straight up Punisher. Kudos to that. Yeah, there. Like I got another note down about the election thing. There's no build up to that. Okay, they gotta work up to that to like, let's just say, I mean, at the very least, because a lot of people point this out, at the very least, what they could have done is utilize the whole situation with the snap, where it's like, oh, after that ordeal, we need to restructure some things, so a lot of people end up getting released, earlier than usual. And then while we see him little by little in Hawkeye and Echo, we should see in the background of him, orchestrating or moving parts in a way or clearing his record or something in order to get a record clean. Because I'm pretty sure running for political office in general, you probably should have a clean-ish record. In theory. But aside from that, he is like a public figure since his first arrest after he was busted as the kingpin of crime. The way he was moving things around, using police officers, bribing people, the lawyers and judges, all the stuff that we knew from season 1. There's no way, even after so long, people will still remember that. There's no way we'll allow him to run for any office, let alone mayor of New York City. You don't think this guy was going to abuse that first day he get. But, we don't know what political leaning he was in. A lot of people just assume he would have run as like a Republican or something. I don't know. We don't know anything about the people he was running against. How he got so ahead where there would have been like other clear candidates. Matter of fact, when they do certain debates, why not have them bring up the fact that this guy was previously a criminal, was arrested on multiple occasions? They often bring up here about him, like, once again, cut off a man's head with a car door. It's like, it's just so much stuff they could have built up to this point to justify him. Most people don't have no problem of him being mayor because that happened in the comics, and in the comics that was more earned. It happened more organically, so it doesn't make any sense for this slow burn of an election that he won, and it was around like New Year's. They really moved up these holidays really fast, throughout this season. Because the previous 3 seasons, it's like through the course of a couple of months max. Here, we throughout these 8 episodes, it seems like we poured through like at least 3 or 4 holidays. We got like New Year's and St. Patrick's Day and there was a couple of stuff. I was like, man, y'all burning through like this. What are y'all trying to throw in, like, long Halloween into this too? So what the hell? Oh, there's another thing. The religion. They have not addressed, you know, they have them speak about God. They have Daredevil stand outside of a church, but not actually going into church in the confessional. Yeah, I get it. The guy who know he was Daredevil that he trusted died at the hands of Bullseye in the previous season. But it's just like, I don't know. You could have him talk with his mom. She is still around. If he wanted to, need to like have like a religious kind of thing where he sat down in a church, have some kind of conversation with his mom, to get some kind of religious clarity. This guy is a Catholic. That's the biggest part of this character. He's a devout Catholic, and it's like you don't have him at all inside a church in a confession, or at least talking to his nun mother. You know, especially after the fact that he lost his best friend in like in an assassination. It's like what. It's like I don't know why the showrunners are trying to move away from that. It can't have nothing to do with not wanting to offend anybody who's not of that religion, but plenty of people from all religious backgrounds have probably seen the Daredevil show that was on Netflix. Never once raised any kind of ire by the fact that it has, Jesus and, Catholic, all that kind of stuff roped into that. Had no issue with that. No one raised any kind of gripes. So don't know why you shied away from that essential thing of that's a part of this character. The BB report. We got the niece of Ben Urich, who shows up quite a bit and is, happens to be friends with Kingpin's little social media, guru guy, who I think most people are starting to think it's supposed to be Kingpin's son, but it's not addressed. But clearly, he kind of comes off like that. Except in the comics, Kingpin's son is a lot more, muscular. But BB, I don't want to say it's like a wannabe journalist, but she ain't really a part of like the journalism that Ben Urich is a part of, where she's trying to do like the woman on the street, doing this like, blog or video vlogs and that kind of stuff, and talking with these randos on the street, trying to like, what do you think about Daredevil? Where has he been? And like, it's like all these. Honestly, it's like this doesn't offer anything. You're just getting like people's little, points of views, and mostly there's like, I won't say nothing burgers, but it's like, well, why are we focus on this? I'm not. I don't think nobody's against having Ben Urich's niece following in her uncle's footsteps, but I don't know. You could have had her work for the Daily Bugle, since you got Spider-Man attached to it now, because Kingpin made like a reference to him, like, because this whole running on this whole anti-vigilante thing that people seemingly is at least New Yorkers seemingly is more of a approve of, where you make an offhand comment about Punisher and Spider-Man, and it's like it could have worked for the Daily Bugle, interview some people and then put it, in like a newspaper. But I guess it's like the journalism of today. It's like, I don't know. The character in and of herself is not an issue, but just what they got her doing seems, odd. Maybe like Gen Zers might feel differently about a character like this, because that's what they view as journalism of today. I don't know. But speaking of anti-vigilantes. We get besides from Daredevil and Punisher, we get to see the return of the swordsman who we saw in Hawkeye, which is fun. Well, besides him, there's like White Tiger, who unfortunately the actor halfway through filming this TV show passed away from cancer. So he also was an incredible actor. So he plays this character called White Tiger. Now, growing up, White Tiger has always been a woman who took up the mantle of White Tiger. Clearly shown by the fact that this guy has like a little niece. Well, it's kind of funny because don't know if it was in Daredevil, but maybe Jessica Jones. Somebody made a reference to that female White Tiger and clearly hinted at the fact that she's an older woman. Like I said, I don't say older woman, but it's like older than a child. But like I said, this is like a soft reboot, so I guess we're kind of ignoring that. But whatever. And it's we'll get to that this little kid in a second. But we see like just a few vigilantes out on the street trying to do good, but the fact that you couldn't splurge to get Tom Holland to show up at least one time, or at least do some kind of video thing or something like that to showcase Spider-Man doing his thing in the city, or see other vigilantes. You got like Kate Bishop. Why don't we see her out there at all? You can at least afford Haley Steinfeld for a day. Or we got let's see Kamala Khan's dad in like a very nothing burger of an episode where some kind of bank robbery that leads to nowhere. And it's like okay, clearly the MCU has established at least a handful of vigilantes, and you could have at least brought in because Kristen Ritter expressed that she is clearly like established that Kristen Ritter is coming back as Jessica Jones, which is incredible. I loved her as Jessica Jones. Mike Coulter expressed that. Not sure it's ever been confirmed, but he expressed that he definitely wouldn't mind coming back as Luke Cage. That, of course, their first seasons have been great. Second season, not so much. Then Iron Fist, ironically, Finn Jones recently expressed wanted to come back as Iron Fist. And it's like, okay, cool. But the real question is, unlike the last two seasons, when you had all the time in the world to learn some freaking martial arts, you didn't need to be Bruce Lee, but clearly, are you going to learn how to freaking, fight? Because it's like a fight heavy type of character, way more so than even Daredevil. So you got to learn some freaking martial arts and not this, pooch. It's like, none of that crap. I want you to see some fluid motion with some martial arts. None of this half-ass bullcrap. And it's like I like Iron Fist, and they really after the sham of those seasons, they really comics, at least Marvel Comics, has been steering as far away from that character as possible, just to get the stink of Iron Fist off everybody's lips, and they really lean into more so than Shang-Chi out of the freaking blue, because you can't have no white guy learn the martial arts and be better at it. But then B, leading into Asian Iron Fist, guy. Even though there's a while back I saw in the comics that Danny Rand is mentoring a young girl who's supposed to be the next Iron Fist, which, like I say, a little bit more organic than this rando dude now who's taking up the mantle as like a pseudo Iron Fist, which felt so forced. because they can't have no white guy being better at martial arts than somebody who's supposed to be Asian. And it's like, God, anybody can learn, martial arts and be very good at it. It's like it's not racist for them to learn martial arts and be an expert at it. It's not racist. If that is the case, Ralph Macchio can't be a good at karate. You can't have Cobra Kai now because it'll look offensive. Oh, Bruce Wayne, can't have him because even though he's very good at martial arts, clearly an expert at it, he's white, can't have him learning martial arts. Even though he has like over a dozen probably different types of black belts, a very kind of martial arts known to man. Oh, Captain America, very good at martial arts too. Can't have him. He's a white guy. Can't have that. It's like, get over yourself. Let people be good at what they're good at without being so divisive. All right. Muse. Now they really sold. Was selling this show the fact that Daredevil was going to be dealing with Muse as the overarching big bad, and Muse in the comics, very deadly, very fun, great new Daredevil rogue, who has a kind of like a unique skill where he can be undetectable even by Daredevil standards, was making him very deadly. Clearly is a serial killer, makes art out of people's like corpses and blood and stuff. But in the comics, he's kind of a talker. They don't have him talk all that much while he's in like the Muse persona. It's kind of weird. And they don't utilize that character. Clearly, like, we see him doing certain things, and they dealt with him pretty fast. I'll get to that soon, but it's like, man, they underutilize this character. It's almost offensive how they underutilize this character, even though he's a big deal of a villain. They play him like some kind of like a incel thing. Can we just not try to make almost every other bad guy some kind of incel thing? It's getting old. Can you just be like a regular nut job who happens to be a serial killer with a gimmick? What else? So we got the White Tiger who on New Year's or New Year's night saw some dude getting hassled, turns out by a couple of cops who is obviously overstepping their boundaries in terms of the law. He tries to step in and inadvertently causes the death of one of the police officers on a train tracks. So he gets arrested. Matt ends up representing him. Now, after Matt finds the informant that could be a key witness to this whole ordeal, Matt also found out that some of these cops have like tattoos of the Punisher's, skull on them. They're part of obviously some kind of like little group because they gotta placate to like real world situations where certain cops probably have like, or people in the military or whatever, gotta have this Punisher's insignia on their vehicles or whatever, showing like obviously idolizing the kind of the wrong people idolizing something like the Punisher, even though In the comics, Punisher realistically would not tolerate guys like that. As a matter of fact, right at the tail end of this season, he points out that these guys are clowns. It's like, like you're not, like I don't acknowledge you. You guys are idiots. Y'all look out to me. Matter of fact, I really wish they put in the line, because one of the most iconic lines from the Punisher, where some group of youngsters, some 20-somethings, look up to the Punisher and want to do what he does in order to take down bad guys. He tells them, like, if you want somebody to look up to, find Captain America. And if I ever catch you out here doing this thing again, I will kill you. It's kind of like, I'm kind of butchering that, but that's what stuck in my mind, because Punisher acknowledges that he's not something to idolize. He has a mission. He has a purpose. It's like he got like a particular thing that drives him, that only he feels that needs to be done, and only by him, nobody else. Because he knows, he is fully aware that what he's doing is messed up to a degree, but he does not care what happens to him, and he does not care but the mission. But he won't tolerate anybody replicating him. He would not have it. He'll be infuriated by people like this. But that's the whole point. I kind of wish that that it was like we got a little bit more with him dealing with, because when we see him like having like this kind of board with all these strings and attached to all these pictures. Clearly he's dealing with, like, gangsters and all this other stuff he typically, Punisher will be dealing with. But the fact that we got these, cops with their own little section, clearly, abusing their power, idolizing the Punisher. Punisher should be already tracking these kind of guys, and we should have like a separate thing where, or at least a whole new Punisher season, him dealing with these type of cops. I was like, okay, because outside of like gang members and stuff like that, or terrorists, Punisher has no qualms of killing bad people, even if they're cops. They're clearly abusing their power. He has no problem doing what he needs to do. And it should be his own little season, in which I imagine that might be the case after, because spoiler alert, end credits, which is kind of lame, where Punisher breaks out, because the Kingpin ends up capturing swordsmen and a couple other would-be vigilantes or what have you, including Punisher, after he gets, after he was kind of an idiot thing to do, because Punisher is a little bit way more tactical than this, but he's trying to deal with these rogue cops, or these anti-vigilante task force people, straight on, kills a handful of them, but he ends up getting jumped and hauled away in a cage. He ends up escaping. So when we get a new season of the Punisher, he'll probably be, for the most part, dealing with those type of people in this show. But there's a lot of wasted episodes where they could have been like running an investigation, dealing with Muse, trying to find him, what have you. But whatever. White Tiger ends up being put on trial. Of course, Matt, thanks to Cherry, finds out this guy is a secret vigilante. So Matt, without asking for permission from the guy, brings up the fact that he's a vigilante, he saved all these people, blah blah blah. He gets acquitted, but then when he was out on patrol, don't know why he has to go right away on patrol. Could have waited a little while until things die down. Now people know who he is, But then he ends up getting shot by one of these anti-vigilante goon squads, which turns out to be Cold North. Now, of course, if you read Chips Zdarsky Run, Cold North actually is an incredible character that was brought in and does not like the Kingpin. He's from Chicago and they play him completely different. This is not Cold North. He's like a big jack dude who, is like a straight-laced cop who does not tolerate, criminals, does not tolerate someone like the Kingpin who's abused power and utilized cops for his own little goon squads or any of that mess. He definitely doesn't tolerate vigilantes. Things like, you're not above the law, blah, blah, blah. And he always comes ahead with, when it comes to Daredevil. Here in the show, isn't nothing like that. He is just Cold North in name only. And such a waste of a character. Why they have him on this anti-vigilante task force as one of these goon squads that clearly is abusing their power? He wouldn't be a part of this. He would. You can stay true to him of not liking vigilantes, but the last thing Cold North would want is to be a part of a group of cops who abuse their power. One of which, gets a journalist and shove his hand in like a deep fryer for taking pictures at like Kingpin's little gala thing. It's just like so dumb. Then now his niece got the nerve to give Matt Murdock the riot act. It's like the cops not doing anything and you're no different than them. And it's like you're trying to do this whole spunky kid routine, and I was waiting for the Mac to tell this kid, like, girl, shut the hell up. You don't know what, you're a kid, okay? I understand you're upset. You lost a beloved relative, and I'm doing what I can on my end, the legal way. But you're not helping while you sitting there trying to tell me off that you don't know anything. And it's like, but you're trying to get this little, because this young girl knows, how to tell the man what he needs to know. You're not doing anything. And it's like, shut up. And then she gets captured by Muse when she's trying to investigate where his hideout could be. And it's like, girl, why? First of all, where's your freaking parent? The fact that you can't even making sure this kid is in this freaking house that she can easily sneak out. And then ends up getting captured, nearly drained of blood by Muse, but it causes Daredevil to get out of his funk because he has been in his costume for more than 3 times in this entire season. And he finally gets back in a suit and starts dealing with Muse, who ends up escaping. But he rescues her. And Matt ends up representing this guy who's so fucking popcorn. Oh my god. It is like they're trying to do this whole sympathetic poor man down on his luck. He got a rap sheet that it wasn't his fault, and they're trying to do this whole sob story thing, and it doesn't work. I mean, take your feelings out of it for a second. You look at it, peel back the layers. This dude has a record. Got caught trying to steal some fiddle faddle, some crap like that. I don't even know what fiddle faddle is. I guess it's just popcorn. Because, he can't eat all that good, because he tired eating, trash food and what have you. And he would have been put right back in jail for, I guess breaking probation or something like that. And then Matt managed to get him out of make sure he kept out of prison. On some kind of probation for 10 days or something like that. I don't know the I can't remember the exact thing, but he got 10 days instead of 20 or 30. And he tells him this is a gift. And then he got a nerve to, talk crap about him being blind and, give him lip. And it's like, you got no leg to stand on. Like, what are you doing? Like, A, disrespecting a disabled person, and B, like, you got no reason. You don't offer any credible reason why you want to stay out of prison. It's like, I'm going to lose my job. And it's like, at the very least, you could have wrote it into the story. This guy, is a single parent trying to, do what he can to make sure that because he's the sole guardian of his small child. And that way you can offer some credibility of why he can't be put back in prison and stuff. He just wants something, like get like a decent meal for his son or daughter or something like that. That way you can offer better credence than what was given. This is like a nothing burger of an excuse. And this dude got an attitude on top of that. It's like, rot in prison then, you ungrateful son of a bitch. Like, I ain't trying. It's like, who look at that and sees like any kind of sympathy? Honestly, you're not doing a good job trying to sell sympathy about this guy. Oh my God, it was so irritating. The bank heist, I ain't gonna address the bank heist. That was like a waste of an episode. It could have been dedicated, like I said, spend more time building up Muse and working that angle, and then how Kingpin got this whole election thing. Oh God. I mean, I do gotta say they were very spot on with the Muse costume. Very spot on with exactly how Muse would look in the comics. The only difference is he isn't chatty. Muse in the comics was often very chatty and sadistic. We don't get that with him. He's when he's out of the costume, he has a lot to say. But when he's in costume, he's very quiet. It's kind of like, And by the way, Cole North is the one who shot White Tiger, which Punisher figures out by the fact that this guy is actually using bullets with the Punisher logo on it. And it's like, that seemed kind of easy, because why is he the only one using bullets with the Punisher logo on it? Why not the other guys? Then the Muse ends up kidnapping the same therapist that Matt is dating. He saw like she might understand him better, but then when he was about to kill her and make another art display, Daredevil come bursting in through the window. It starts fighting the guy. She managed to get Muse's gun that he kept on him, and ends up shooting the guy. And then after, and that's the end of Muse. I was like, oh God, it's a waste of an awesome villain you don't do nothing with. Oh my God, it's like wasting Lex Luthor. It's like, oh my God, what's the whole point of this? You sold the show on the fact that Muse is being brought to live action, and Daredevil's going to go up against this guy. You should have treated Muse the same way that they treated Bullseye in the previous season, where he's like always there and always coming into conflict with Daredevil. Oh my God. And then this lame of a therapist dares to blame, like, because she's trying to do this. Initially, she wanted to do this kind of tell-all book in her ideas about vigilantes and their mask, and are they like, it brings out their true selves, and trying to get Matt to give her like some kind of one-on-one interview with the Punisher. And it's like, girl, what? And then quickly change their tune, where it's like, oh, Daredevil is just as bad as Muse was. Woman, he was there to save you if he didn't show up in time, you would have been another art display. At the very least, he distracted Muse long enough for you to shoot the guy. But then you have the nerve to like say like, oh, he's just as bad. It's like ungrateful ass, and then starts working with Kingpin for his like lead in mental health and stuff like that. It's like, why would Kingpin even give a rat's asshole about mental health? We didn't get. It's another point. It's like we didn't get to see like uh, uh, the anti-vigilante task force actually capturing these vigilantes. It is in cages. Oh, and by the way, we do get kind of like another Kingpin head cutting off thing. This commissioner who was at odds with Kingpin along the way, and then got betrayed by a woman that's worked closely with Kingpin, who clearly understands this guy is not good, but the fact that for some odd reason totally betrayed this guy who she would have considered a friend, betrayed him. And then Kingpin ends up using it as a man's strength and just kind of crushes the guy's head and rips it open. And it's like almost like a freaking Mortal Kombat execution mode. I was like, that's pretty dope. Okay, that's Kingpin right there. What else? Oh, because the Karen comes back helping out Punisher and Daredevil. But we see the moment where Daredevil and Punisher takes on all these vigilante task force, and it's like, of course, you knew Punisher was gonna start murking folks. Of course, this doesn't sit well with Daredevil, but it's like, you should have established that earlier. That like no killing, because you knew these guys was coming up into your apartment, which is shocker that Kingpin hasn't done this earlier when Daredevil first came back onto the scene from rescuing that little girl. It's like, that's the first thing he probably should have done. It's like, okay, let's, I'm going to out you and get these anti-vigilante guys to come capture you. Oh, and then Vanessa, after Kingpin shows her that he had Adam locked up in like a cage in a basement where he eventually starts storing these vigilantes. He got all this long hair on his face. How long he's been in this cell? He kind of looks like a hobo. He kind of looks like Tom Hanks in Forrest Gump when he's doing that running, along the country, and kind of looks like that, this whole long beard and everything like that. And then she ends up getting a gun and shooting at him, and I guess that's their reconciliation. Like, I got my Wilson back. I was like, okay, how do we get to that? To what I'm missing is that your renewal your vows or something like that. Is like we knew each other by violence, and it's like it's like, explain to me those feelings you have for him. And the killer, you didn't give a shit about Adam. Like, I guess because he's a sneaky link, you don't give a shit. But you just said you didn't want him to kill him. You would think at the very least you would let him go. But I guess can't have this guy being let go and telling what happened. But I don't know. It just seems so weird. So of course, Kingpin starts bribing more political figures here, and the fact that swordsmen got put in these cages. Why isn't Kate Bishop not being more involved? Because that's technically, well, not anymore. It was probably going to be her stepfather. So after he helped her at the end of Hawkeye dealing with all these, the tracksuit mafia people, you'll think like, oh, this got on her radar. He's missing. I gotta like get involved now. And it's like you could have perfect opportunity to get Kate Bishop involved, to get more vigilantes uh, in this thing. Um, what else? Okay, and then like everything wraps up with uh oh, about BB. She clearly knew that uh Fisk had something to do with her uncle's death. Like, you think? And it's like you could have like at least seeded that early on, where it's like, oh, I'm playing like dumb in order to get like intel that I need in order to, really hang this guy out to dry for what he's done to my uncle. Oh, and then Bullseye in prison, and it's like put him in Gen Pop, and we don't see what went on. You assume this guy would have killed all those dudes in there, who's ready to seemingly jump the guy because he used to be an FBI agent, so he probably put away a lot of dudes in there. But it's like you don't see, like, this guy would have ran that prison. This is Bullseye. He didn't need any guns. He can use a spork. He can use a lunch table. He can use a book, pages, paper clips, peanuts. Doesn't matter. He can use anything to kill all those people. And it's like you don't show that, because clearly this is like nothing to him. It's like, like a group of bikers trying to take on Spider-Man, and it's like clearly a breeze for Spider-Man. It's like clearly can do this in his sleep. Like, so Bullseye can easily handle all these dudes without any effort, and you don't show that. That is so disingenuous. It's like, oh God, why? And Vanessa was the one who hired Bullseye to take out Foggy because he was clearly about to shed light on something she had a part of. Couldn't have that. So when Matt figured it out, he planned on dealing with that until power went out, and everything's went, the riots happening and everything like that. Clearly this city is like, really taking a turn now. Kingpin's putting martial law into effect. So now the show ends with Daredevil saying, like, we're gonna need our own army. So we'll see Daredevil with a few cops, and then Cherry. But it's like I was half expecting to see, also a couple of the defenders. Clearly, they're setting up to bring back the defenders to help him out to deal with Kingpin. But it's like it'd be cool to see a cameo appearance with, the three of the defenders that worked with him against the Hand. Because in the Chip Zdarsky run, after the Kingpin was ousted as mayor, Luke Cage became mayor. I think he still is mayor in the comics. And if I was one of the writers, that would be my next thing to make sure that gets to that point. But right now, from the last time we left Luke Cage, he was running Cottonmouth's club and organization. So it'll be a nice little arc for him to become mayor of New York. But yeah, man. But Daredevil Born Again, like I said, there's good parts in here. The fight scenes, a lot of the fight scenes are incredible. The cinematography, like I said, incredible. A lot of the actors doing impressive jobs. Especially the primary three, Punisher, Matt, and Kingpin. But it is, everything else seems like a waste or needless or out of order. People making dumb decisions. It's just like, man, this is the most anticipated show of the year, and it feels like they dropped the ball, in a lot of ways. As I don't know who was in the writers' room, but some of their decisions were just dumb. I mean, it's like an average C, and that's me being generous. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who's gonna. It's probably this Daredevil's been one of the most consistent good TV shows probably of all time. And then as soon as the MCU's get they rub little mitts on it, they drop the ball so heavily. Unbelievable. I was like, this is like supposed to be one of the most easiest layups in terms of TV shows I ever seen, and somehow they dropped the ball heavy, and it's like, oh my god, it's terrible. And there's gonna be a lot of people who's gonna be roasting the hell out of this. And honestly, there's gonna be some shows out there too who's gonna defend this, tooth and nail. But look at it objectively, okay? Take your feelings out of it and what you remember about Daredevil previously, and look at this single season objectively, and tell me that there are certain decisions with these characters and the narrative that seems completely out of place or drop the ball in a lot of places. You gotta look at it objectively and just say to yourself, is this of the same standard as the previous season? Because you gotta objectively say, no, this is, it's still better than any of the any of the Iron Fist seasons. And I think it's still slightly better than the season 2 of Jessica Jones and season 2 of Luke Cage. But still, though, it's just like, God, certain decisions seem so out of whack. I had it written down because I don't want to end up mincing my words or forgetting anything. Because despite certain things that I do enjoy, that's why I give it like a solid C, just for that reason. But everything else is just like, oh man, there's too many cons for me to ignore. And honestly, not enough pros to warrant no higher than a C. My God, this is bad, man. And this is, like I said, the most anticipated, Marvel property we was looking for. I said it much earlier in the year. Oh, this is a guarantee going to be like easy win for Marvel. But once we get here, it's like, oh my God, this is terrible. Now we got Thunderbolts next, and then the Fantastic Four for steps. And then of course they got what's her name? Ironheart, which not a lot of people were having high hopes for Ironheart anyway, so it's whatever. But man, I can't believe Thunderbolts is the only one that doesn't have any issues right now. With like the whole first steps, with the whole situation with the miscasting of Pedro Pascal, because he's a great actor, he's definitely overused because he's just like a safe actor to just hire for anything. And then you got like the actor who played Johnny Storm saying that nonsense about the character he's supposed to be representing, and then Vanessa Kirby getting her to say that mess about having Sue Storm dealing with gender politics in the first steps. Like, God, can we just leave that crap out of our superhero stuff and just be a superhero show or a superhero movie? There's so much going on with, and it's like, God, why is Thunderbolts you would think Thunderbolts would be the one giving us so much more problems, but it's the only one that's right now isn't dealing with controversy or seemingly like it's going to be like a decent film. You would think it would have been the opposite. Wow. Anyway, that was my critique of Daredevil Born Again. I'm pretty sure people have different opinions. I respect that. But from what I can honestly give you my objective opinion, and I love Daredevil, and the past 3 seasons have been incredible, high regards in terms of quality. This one, objectively speaking, it is not good. It is piss poor. I want to say piss poor. That's too far. Like I said, it's average at best. But honestly, by comparison to the previous seasons, is god awful. But anyway, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Leave a comment below, and I will see you guys a little bit later. As speaking of Marvel, I want to hop back into some Marvel Rivals a bit, and possibly play a little bit of. I don't know. I'm feeling out to playing some Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. I'll see. But in any case, I'll see y'all soon. Take care. Peace.